All right, welcome everyone. We are here with two-time Defensive Player of the Year for the Summit League, all-region performer as a senior, all-conference in the WPSL for the Fire in the Cities, the pride of Cottage Grove, Minnesota, Annie Williams. Go Wolfpack! How's it going, Annie?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. And Annie, we are talking across. We're in the same time zone somehow, but
Actually,
no.
we don't have daylight savings time here. So that it's changed now. It's different now.
That's great. So when we first started talking, you said we actually had the same time of the day. Now we have sprung forward. So now we are at different
Yes.
times. But you are down in Costa Rica, and so you have been playing with a team down there, and you also are doing taking some classes. So talk about how you ended up down there and what you're doing down in Costa Rica.
Yeah. So basically, I think when I was a sophomore or a junior, I decided that I also wanted to major in Spanish. My first major is English education. And then I decided I wanted to add Spanish as well. And so I just kind of been planning to study abroad when I was done with soccer, like done with college soccer. And so I don't know, I was just looking at the places where I could go and study. And my mom actually studied in Costa Rica back in the day. And so I just did some research and kind of looked at the classes that I could take, and so I just decided to pack my stuff and stay here for a semester.
I know the when you talk to for those of us who didn't play like college athletics at a high level, you take for granted all the kind of flexibility you have as kind of a regular college student. For you guys, you have your fall season and then spring training and stuff, so it's not really ever that organic to take a study abroad like this. So you actually went down there to finish up that degree, but then ended up finding a way to find a team to play for down there. Talk about who you're playing for and how that connection got made.
Right. So I don't know. When I was just like kind of planning my whole trip and planning to study here, I didn't know, or I guess I did kind of know, but I didn't know how far soccer was going to take me. And so I didn't really plan any room for soccer or to play soccer. And then it was just kind of like during season this past season, I was talking to my coach Brock, and we were just talking about studying abroad because we had to figure some like scholarship stuff out with that. And I was like, yeah, I'm studying abroad in Costa Rica. And he's like, oh, Costa Rica, huh? He's like, would you want to play there? And I was like, yes, absolutely. That would be amazing. And so kind of just like from there, he had some connections in Costa Rica. And I don't know, from there, Kate Hams, she's amazing. So awesome. She actually got me connected with Saprissa and helped me through everything. I kind of told her where I would be living, what my schedule would look like, and she really just made it work for me and just found a team for me that was, competitive, and I don't know, just somewhere where I could at least train and, play a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And so what I was able to find out about the Costa Rican Women's League, they are doing a great job of making sure no one learns too much about them through the internet. But
Yeah.
they have kind of like a fall to fall winter season, and then kind of a spring summer season. And so you're obviously playing for them now. If people recognize that Saprissa name, you might recognize on the men's side, they frequently make it into the CONCACAF Champions League. Francisco Calvo, who plays for Minnesota United, used to play for Saprissa. So they're really kind of a top club. So I actually did recognize their name. So it's cool that you ended up landing there.
Yeah.
And what's it been like so far playing for them? I mean, how's that adjustment been playing in a different league and at a different level?
I would definitely say my first practice, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do this, just because, yeah, I'm studying Spanish here, but in the context of soccer, I didn't know any Spanish. And so it was just really hard to communicate. Um, and especially because, I didn't understand any of the things that, my teammates were telling me, but also just because the style of play here is so different. Um, and it's definitely something that I have admired about them since day one. Their style of play is absolutely beautiful. There's so much just like finesse in the game that they play, and they're very, very technical and very creative as well. And so, just kind of playing with them and practicing with them and playing my way into their style of play has helped me a lot in my game. And it's just definitely been so just sometimes I am just amazed, like during a game or during a practice, at just like the way that they play. And yeah, the style of play I think is just beautiful.
So, I mean, you played at a high level in college. You were at probably like a mid-major conference, but you made it to the NCAA tournament, multiple times. You played obviously at the club level with like top, Minnesota players and stuff like that. Um, but when you're down there and you're playing like at, you're used to being probably, I would describe you as like a physical, like a strong physical right back who's also a good athlete, but you go down there and how do they think about you down there? Are you like a big burly like American defender? How are you compared to players down there? What's the transition like for you on the field?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do have the size. I don't know. I remember when they first saw me, it was like, "Oh, you're really big, like you're really tall." And now I'm like, when I'm playing, I'm always in on like corner kicks and like free kicks. And yeah.
Well, and for context, to tell people, how tall are you? You're not huge.
No, I'm 5'8".
Right. So
Yeah.
you're just like big for them on the
Mhm.
field. And then
Yeah.
when you are playing, you in college, and I think most of probably your club career you've been playing defense, and in college at
Mhm.
that right back spot. When you're playing with the team now, where are you playing on the field?
I've been mostly playing right back, but I've also played a little bit of holding center mid.
Hmm.
So
They have
it's
you in
been
there.
it's
They
been
have you
nice.
in there as a destroyer.
Yeah.
And you, so what are the teams you talked a little bit before we started recording about, there is some issue with having to get the paperwork set up so that you can play in the different league, as an international player. But talk about the teams you have played so far and kind of what those games were like.
um. So in the games that I could play, it was just kind of for us to get ready for the games that we're going to be playing in the coming weekends. But it was just a fun little tournament, and we played actually against some ODP teams from the U.S. So we played against some younger girls, and it was actually a really interesting experience, just to see how like the the cultural differences in the same game that we play, you know. And so yeah, it was just crazy playing on that team and being able to see the way that like U.S. soccer is played for the most part. I would say definitely in the U.S. the soccer is a lot more physical,
Mm-hmm.
and but here in Costa Rica, like I said, very technical, and it's just I don't know. I think when those two styles of play play against each other, it's such an interesting and a fun game to watch and to play in, because you have these two totally different, but also they have so many similarities, like of just style.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like kind of fun to adjust to that and to get used to that style of play, but then to also play against just kind of the style of play that I've been used to playing almost my entire life. So that was
Right.
pretty cool.
Well, and what's the kind of caliber of player on your team? I know you mentioned there's some women who play on the national team, like playing for Saprissa. So what's that like? Like who are some of the are they like a little bit older, more experienced? Like describe some of those teammates that you're training against kind of throughout the week.
Yeah, I'd definitely say we have a wide age range on my team. Definitely, like there are girls who have graduated college. We have some who have played in the U.S., went to college in the U.S., played here, and then are coming back, living in Costa Rica, playing on the national team, and playing here. But then there are a couple of girls who are just starting their college in Costa Rica, and some who actually haven't started yet. So we just kind of have a wide range of ages, but yeah, they're all great. They all have great ability. So yeah.
And what's the are does it seem like, I mean, the way you describe it makes it seem like, current college students might be playing on the team, women in their 20s and 30s might be playing on the team. Does it seem like they're mostly playing for kind of like little or no pay, or what do you think the kind of setup is for some of these players who, you're kind of like a short term, almost like a trialist, but for some of them, does it seem, and maybe you don't talk, exact salary amounts, but does it seem like it's something they do but have a different job on the side? Or what does it seem like from that aspect in terms of kind of the setup of, are there coaches where this is their full-time thing, or does it, how is it like that on the back end, do you think?
Yeah. Well, everyone that plays here, if they're not going to school and living at home with their families, they have a totally separate job, um, which to me is crazy because like they're so dedicated and they're so good, and in my opinion, like they deserve so much more than they're getting. But we have practice at 5:30 in the mornings, and that's convenient for people so they can work during the day. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's, in my opinion, it shouldn't be like that because the girls that I'm playing with deserve like so much recognition, and they deserve to be paid. But that's just not how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, they work really hard to like play because soccer is their passion. But they also have to like support themselves. So
Well, and you talked as an American coming in and playing on the team. What's it like for you, kind of communicating with those players who have been there a long time, or even the coaching staff, where you are finishing up? You can speak some Spanish, but like it's a whole different world when you're kind of in
yeah,
it, especially when it's like a timing based, game, ball. Um,
yeah.
so what's that been like in terms of kind of receiving that coaching, or even like teammates talking to you? How's that transition been?
I'd say that it's been gradual, but I'm definitely understanding a lot more in the soccer context, and it helps because there are a good amount of girls on my team who do speak English, and so they help me with what I need. Definitely, if it's a spur of the moment thing and they need to tell me something, like they'll tell me in English, you know. But I think now, since that I have an idea of the context, like the soccer context, and like I have some vocabulary words that I can understand, and yeah, it's different when my coach gives me feedback, but for the most part, I can understand that also in the context, and so it's definitely been
And is
a
that
big
all in Spanish? Is everything the coach
yeah,
gives you in Spanish?
yeah. And so I've just been it's been a good opportunity to practice my Spanish, to learn some new words, but like it's the same feedback, so
Right.
yeah,
And so you're down there, you're finishing up some classes, and you're there through, I think you said, essentially by April you'll be coming back.
yeah.
Do you have any plans to, once you get back, kind of what your next step will be? Because that seems like a really cool experience playing with that team. And I know, or at least those who follow the Jacks on Twitter, will have seen your very fun registering for the NWSL draft video, so they do know that you declared to play professionally. Are you thinking about coming back and then exploring other options again, or what's your plan for next steps?
Yeah. And so I don't know. This summer, I just want to play. I just want to train. I just want to get better because, when I registered for the draft, I didn't expect to be drafted by any means, but I just kind of saw that as a next step that I could take as to say, like, this is what I want for my life. This is what I want to do. And to just be ready for any opportunity that comes from that. And so kind of in this time, especially this summer, I'm just looking to train. And there are a lot of different areas that I need to improve, that I need to sharpen. And so I'm really just looking to do that this summer. And then kind of see the opportunities that come from there. Because I think that, I don't know, living abroad now has definitely, I don't know, exposed me to kind of like what it would be like to live abroad and play abroad. And here I absolutely love it here. Yes, I miss my family, definitely miss my friends, but it's been such a cool experience for me to be in a different country and to be playing in a different country. And so I'm just kind of really excited to just be in the process of just like training, getting better, and then looking for new opportunities, and just to see what I can do with my game and see what I can do at the level that I'm playing at. I'm really excited to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously from Cottage Grove. Last year played for the Fire, so you did play in the WPSL. Is there any chance Minnesota fans will be able to see you play this summer on a WPSL team? Have you already made a decision about that? Are you still exploring options with that?
Yeah, no, I have already decided to play for the Fire again. And so as of right now, those are my plans. I loved the environment, the competitive environment, and everything that Mickey and Aaron did to just give us the experience and to help us get better. I definitely loved that and appreciated that, and I'm excited to come back into that environment because I feel like it's a really good and competitive environment to be in and to train in, especially if you want to better your game.
That's awesome. Well, and this year you'll have a little less travel. Now there's more Minnesota teams, so you guys, the farthest trip you have is going up to Fargo, so that won't be too bad. So that's great to hear. So thanks so much, Annie. So if fans want to find her, she's on Twitter. We'll tag that in the tweet when we post the chat and when we post the podcast. Otherwise, Annie, have a good rest of the trip in Costa Rica, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in Minnesota in the WPSL this summer.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.